Today, Agronomy Class 5 package of practices for production of important cereals, pulses, oilseeds, fibers, sugar, commercial and fodder crops. Cereals, millets and its importance. Millets are small seeded grasses that are hardy and grow well in dry zones as rain-fed crops under marginal conditions of soil fertility and moisture. They are possibly the first cereal grain to be used for domestic purposes. The commonly grown millets are sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet, barnyard millet, foxtail millet, kodo millet, proso millet, and little millet. Unlike rice and wheat, they require many inputs in terms of fertilizers and water. Millets grow well in dry regions as rain-fed crops. Highly nutritious, non-glutinous and rich in fiber, they are easy to digest. There are many factors that make millets more sustainable as crops. This is exemplified by comparing the amount of water needed to grow rice with that of millets. One rice plant requires nearly 2.5 times the amount of water required by a single millet plant of most varieties, according to ICRISAT. Millets can grow in areas with less than 350 mm of rainfall, and the cultivation cycle completed within 70 to 100 days has resulted in farmers in dry regions. Increasingly erratic rainfall patterns and crop losses due to climate change factors has forced farmers who were following to conventional agriculture to return to sorghum, little millet, foxtail millet cultivation, having realized that this crop is much more resilient to environmental stress, gives an assured yield in both low and excess rainfall conditions, while keeping input costs low. Millet farmers can be considered as followers of sustainable farming practices, holding lessons for building climate resilience or the ability to adapt to change, overcome constraints, reduce disruptions and enhance opportunities. Millets are photoinsensitive. Millets are generally thermophilic and xerophilic. Pearl millet can grow on poor sandy soils and is well suited for dry climates due to its ability to use moisture efficiently. Small millets such as finger millet and kodo millet can be grown in adverse climatic and soil conditions. Millets are C4 carbon sequestration crops contributing to the reducing of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere besides being water efficient. In contrast, paddy is a major contributor to climate change through methane emission. Wheat and maize also has high global warming potential. Wheat being a thermally sensitive crop, with increasing temperatures, its production is liable to be adversely affected. Benefits of millets: an important staple cereal crop for millions of smallholder dryland farmers across sub-Saharan Africa and Asia. Millets offer nutrition, resilience, income, and livelihood for farmers even in difficult times. They have multiple untapped uses such as food, feed, fodder, biofuels, and brewing. Therefore, millets are smart food as they are good for you, good for the farmer, good for the planet. Nutritionally superior to wheat, rice owing to their higher levels of protein with more balanced amino acid profile, crude fiber and minerals such as iron, zinc and phosphorus. Millets can provide nutrition security and act as a shield against nutritional deficiency, especially among children and women. The anemia, iron deficiency, B complex vitamin deficiency, pellagra can be effectively tackled with the intake of less expensive but nutritionally rich food grains like millets. Millets can also help tackle health challenges such as obesity, diabetes and lifestyle problems as they are gluten free, have a low glycemic index and a high in dietary fiber and antioxidants. Adapted to low or no purchased inputs and to harsh environment of the semi-arid tropics, they are the backbone for dryland agriculture. Photoinsensitive and resilient to climate change, millets are hardy resilient crops that have a low carbon and water footprints, can withstand high temperatures, and grow on poor soils with little or no external inputs. In times of climate change, they are often the last crop standing and thus are a good risk management strategy for resource poor marginal farmers. Efforts by government to promote millets. In order to promote millets, India had in its part notified these climate resilient crops as nutri-cereals and allowed its inclusion in the public distribution system PDS for improvement nutritional support in April. Recognizing millets' anti-diabetic properties, the notification called it as powerhouse of nutrients and identified several varieties of millets for promotion. The millets in the category of nutri-cereals include sorghum, pearl millet, finger millet, foxtail millet, and buckwheat, among others. Besides, the government had in July substantially hiked the minimum support price (MSP) of the millet so that more and more farmers may opt for cultivation of these less water consuming crops. The government has introduced provision of seed kits and inputs to farmers, building value chains through farmer producer organization and supporting the marketability of millets. 160th session of the Food and Agriculture Organization, held in Rome in December 2018, approved India's proposal to observe an International Year of Millets in 2023. Farming of millets deserves encouragement, especially in view of their climate resilience, short cropping duration, and ability to grow on poor soils, hilly terrains, and with little rain. Because of their accessibility to the poor, they can play an essential role in providing nourishment to people across all income categories and supporting climate adaptation of rain-fed farming systems. Late sown wheat. Late sowing of wheat is a major problem in the rice wheat and cotton wheat areas of Asia. 1% decrease for each day that wheat sowing was postponed after the optimum sowing date, 15 to 20 November. Yield declined in the wheat when it was sown after the third week of November. A major reason for the late sowing is the late harvest of the preceding crops. The inputs applied to the wheat crop were not efficiently utilized and resulted in reduced yield under late sowing. In late sown wheat, all the growth stages such as tillering, flowering, and grain filling are adversely affected by the shortened growing period. The reduction in the optimum growth period caused by a rise in the temperature lead to the leaf senescence, resulting in a photosynthetic rate that is too low to meet plant carbon economy. As a result, it affects two important yield parameters, that is, the number of grains per spike and grain weight. This reduction in growth can be compensated by cultivating short duration varieties that are generally low yielding. The other effective approach is the exogenous application of the plant growth regulators involved in promoting plant growth and development under normal and stressful conditions. PGRs like benzadenine, a cytokinin, could be used to improve the sink and source capacity of the wheat to increase grain yield. A simple low-cost method to achieve good crop stand with improved grain yield under late sown conditions and in marginal saline areas is by seed priming. During seed priming, farmers soak wheat seeds for 10 to 12 hours in water or in 2% calcium chloride solution using 15 seed to solution volume ratio, followed by the surface drying in both cases. Relay cropping technology for wheat could be effective way to overcome the problem in this belt, in which farmers could harvest last pickings up to the end of the December or January without any delay in wheat sowing. Farm saved seeds, FSS. In case of delay in the seed supply from the Agriculture Department and the seed distribution agencies, farmers can use the seeds in their soak after priming and can also reduce water requirement by early cropping stand using available soil moisture. High seed rate. Late sown and rain condition seed rate should be increased to 125 kg per hectare. Present, we have many late sown wheat varieties developed by agricultural scientists that give good yield to the farmers in less time. Here are some of the late sown wheat varieties. DBW 173. This variety is developed by the Indian Institute of Wheat and Barley Research. Gives highest yield within a period of 120 days and is also disease resistant. Next, Narendra wheat L076. It has been prepared for delayed sowing in irrigation places. It is prepared after about 100 to 115 days of sowing. Rice wheat or rice cropping system. The rice wheat cropping system is India's most widely adopted cropping system, practiced on an estimated area of around 11 million hectares. This system is prevalent in Indo-Gangetic Plains (IGP) and is predominant in Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, etc. The key features of rice wheat cropping system. Both rice and wheat have different soil requirements. For example, if rice needs stagnant water conditions, wheat needs well pulverized soil balanced with moisture, air and thermal regime. Due to this, a key feature of rice wheat cropping system is the annual conversion of soil from aerobic to anaerobic and then back to aerobic conditions. Advantages. This system is known for high cropping intensity, area sown to total cropped area. Rice wheat cropping pattern is cornerstone of India's food security and is most widely prevalent in not only India but in entire South Asia. This cropping system is a main feature of Indo-Gangetic Plains. Green fodder is easily available in rice wheat cropping system and this in turn helps to support large livestock population. The other major factors are responsible for making the rice wheat system advantageous include the usage and optimization of different techniques like surface seeding, the zero tillage system, reduced till system and bed planting technology. Adoption of new technologies on cropping pattern, intervention of crop diversification under the aegis of AARP integrated farming system, AARP IFS, effective use of agriculture machinery to increase productivity and production of farm output. Inducement of new crop varieties having specific traits to improve yield and nutritional quality, ensuring tolerance and resistance to various biotic and abiotic stresses. Adopting improved methods of irrigation and irrigation technologies, usage of optimal dose based on soil health status, promotion of neem-coated urea. Biofortification to improve the nutrition quality of food crops, promotion of organic fertilizers and water-soluble fertilizers and varied institutional reforms. Disadvantages. Rice wheat cropping system RWCS of the South Asia is labor, water, capital and energy intensive and become less profitable as the variability of these resources diminished. Although this is an integrated cropping system, yet yield is dependent on climatic situations in India, mainly on southwest monsoon. Both Rabi and Kharif seasons are occupied by wheat and paddy crop rotation. The Rabi crop of the wheat consumes more fertilizers than Kharif crop of rice. This could be further aggravated with deterioration of soil structure, declining underground water and lesser land and water productivity, which ultimately are threat in front of suitable and profitable rice wheat cropping system in the region. Rice wheat cropping system is known for plenty of the methane generation and its contribution to global warming. Thus, the sustainability of rice wheat system is affected due to overmining of vital nutrients from soil, declining groundwater levels, diseases or pests, disturbance in soil due to rice puddling, etc. Rice is conventionally established through tillage under wet conditions with an aim of reducing percolation losses, ease transplanting and suppress weeds. However, its negative effects through the structural degradation on upland crops are of concern. Day by day, soil health is declining down at an alarming rate, resulting in not only macro but micronutrient deficiencies in soils of the region. On-farm residue management be the major issue in the prevailing rate wheat cropping system. Among rice and wheat straw residues, wheat residue is used in the animal husbandry sector, but the higher silica content in the rice straw makes it inappropriate to be used in dairy sector. Further, incorporation of rice straw being wider in carbon to nitrogen ratio causes the immobilization of nitrogen, which further decreases the grain yields. The government has been promoting the alternate crops like summer mung, sunflower and maize to reduce the wheat and paddy crop rotation, because legume crops have capability to increase soil nutrition. Next, soil wheat, rice wheat or rice cropping system has been a cause of great distress because of the following reasons. It has declined the underground water table, since a lot of groundwater is extracted from irrigation. It consumes the maximum percentage of irrigation water considering any other cropping pattern. The underground water quality gets deteriorated due to the excessive use of fertilizers and insecticides. This system has its payoffs having institutional implications, because of which farmers don't want to change their cropping pattern and welcome crop diversification. This system requires strong weed management, as weed pressure is evident in it. It gives environment conducive to the outbreak of the diseases and insects pest attack. Soil physical quality undergoes degradation. This crop produces a huge surplus of residues, where for farmers burning remains the easiest option to unload it. There are constraints related to nutrient sufficiencies and crop response. Next, direct seeded rice (DSR), line sowing and broadcasting, transplanting, and SRA. Direct seeded rice (DSR), line sowing and broadcasting, transplanting, system of rice intensification (SRA), etc. are the main methods of sowing of paddy. About 70% farmers go for direct seeding of paddy by broadcasting methods. Line sowing or transplanting is being promoted under NSM and BGREI, which gives higher yield compared to broadcasting. The study revealed that the average increase in paddy yield was about 20% under the line sowing method over the broadcast method of paddy planting. The per hectare net return was more under line sowing as compared to the broadcast method of sowing. The cost of production per quintal was less in line sowing method of paddy cultivation over the broadcast method of paddy cultivation. The yield advantages of about 5 to 10 quintals per hectare and saving in seeds at 20 to 45% under line sowing method over the broadcasted paddy is remarkable. Most of the farmers also opined that the other advantages of the line sowing DS method, such as good germination of seeds, easy pest management, nutrient management, application of plant protection chemicals, interculture practices like weeding, hoeing, etc., and a comparatively less infestation of pests and diseases in the crop due to proper crop geometry and management. The line sowing method has been found economical over that of the broadcasting, owing to less per hectare seed requirement and cost of weed management. Weed has been found as a major yield limiting factor in the paddy. The weed management can be done properly under line sowing as compared to broadcasting method. Integrated weed management, that is combination of mechanical, chemical and manual weeding operation, could be possible. The cost of weed management under line sowing was also found less at 3 to 6%, with the reduced labor requirement 15 to 45% over the traditional broadcast method. The increase in productivity could be attributed to increased nutrient use efficiency under line sowing method, owing to proper placement of seeds and fertilizers and reduced competition among weeds and rice plants. The study also revealed the limiting factor in adoption of the improved method of line sowing methods as narrow sowing window, unavailability of sowing implements, non-availability of seed drills, Options of custom hiring centers. Greater than 80% operational holdings with SMF categories to afford mechanization, farmers' traditional preference, and deep-rooted faith of paddy cultivation through broadcast involving BRC. Promotion of line sowing includes the sowing implements like seed cum fertilizer drill. Both tractor and bullock drawn may be made available to SMF at affordable prices under the Resource Conservation Tool (RCT) interventions, as also through custom hiring centers. The season-long training need to be mandatorily organized, and frequency of the training program in each session should be increased in order to improve the learning about the aspects like soil health, INM, IPM, and weed management. Invariably, the control demonstration plot should also be maintained for comparison and building the farmer's confidence. Improved and labor-saving implements should be made available at affordable price in order to solve the scarcity of the labor, reduce the cost of cultivation, and time taken in the operations. It is suggested that the yield obtained and technology used at the demonstration plots may extended widely to non-beneficiary farmers, so that more number of the farmers switch from broadcaster cultivation to improved line sowing technology. The small bullock drawn or manual implements at affordable prices should be promoted to complete the time-bound operations like sowing, weeding, and harvesting by small farmers. It will not only reduce the time and cost but will also improve the productivity of the crop. Weed management in upland rice and management methods. The problem of the weed competition in upland rice is of great economic importance, as it may cause 50 to 91% reduction in grain yield. Upland rice is infested with diverse types of grasses, sedges, and broad-leafed weeds. Weed usually appear in several flushes during the growing season of the rice in uplands. Upland rice is grown as rainfed is in moist, humid subtropical climate and naturally well-drained soils. Strictly defined, upland rice fields are not bundled and no surface water accumulates. The upland rice ecosystem is extremely diverse, ranging from shifting cultivation to relatively intensive systems, utilizing hand, animal, or mechanical tillage and rotation with other crops, including cottage, legumes, and other cereals. Upland rice is also raised under shifting cultivation. Shifting cultivation occurs throughout the humid forest zone, where land is cleared from the forest, usually by slash and burn. Rice is grown for one or more seasons before the land is returned to fallow. Invasion of seed weeds is the principal reason for abounding. Reasons for losses due to weeds in upland rice. Under moist stress conditions, infestation of the weed flora intensifies the competition for soil moisture. Several weed species transpire at a greater rate than the crop plants. Weeds deprive the crop of 20 to 40% of the soil moisture. They emerge in several flushes coinciding with seedlings, tillering, and reproductive stages of direct seeded upland rice. Transplanted seedlings have a competitive advantage over newly emerged weeds compared with the emerging rice seedlings in upland rice. Crop weed competition in upland rice. Early emergence of weeds relative to rice seedlings and their rapid growth result in severe crop weed competition for light, nutrients, moisture, and space in upland rice. Weeds cause most injury to the crops during certain crop growth stages, that is critical period of crop weed competition. The crop is very sensitive to weeds during tillering stage to just before heading stage. Management methods. Integrated weed management. Integrated weed management is generally accepted to be the farmer's best combination of cultural, biological, and chemical measures that yield the most cost effective, environmentally sound, and socially acceptable weed management for crops in a given situation. Summer plowing. Tillage during summer months bring some weeds seeds from subsurface to surface, which are decayed due to heating. Some weeds seeds from the surface are placed in deeper layer of soils, which prevents their emergence. The nuts, tubers of perennial weeds are cut into pieces and are exposed to sun, resulting in their desiccation. Method of crop establishment. Direct seeding is the only method of rice establishment in uplands. Broadcasting, dibbling and drilling are the common seeding practices for upland rice. The crop should be sown preferably in rows, either by dibbling or drilling instead of broadcasting to facilitate interculture and other operations. In row sowing, fertilizer can be placed below the seeds for better availability to the crops. Suitable cultivar for upland rice. Upland rice cultivator with drought avoidance through deep root systems and drought recovery abilities are preferred. Under such conditions, rising wet seasons of rice suitable variety and conserving soil moisture for succeeding dry seasons crop will be imperative. Selecting a suitable variety of which matches the rainfall duration and competitive to weeds and will be a major non-monetary input in upland rice cultivation. Weed competitive rice cultivars. Cultivars for sustainable systems should be both high yielding and competitive against weeds. Enhancing rice competitiveness against weeds would provide a low cost and safe tool for integrated weed management to reduce herbicide dependence. Allelopathic rice cultivars. Field experiments have shown that rice allelopathy can suppress both monocot and dicot weeds. Extracts from the leaves of the rice seedlings at a 6-leaf stage inhibited the growth of duck salad and lettuce. Herbicide resistant rice. Herbicide resistant rice varieties are a new tool for emerging weeds in rice production system. These varieties would enable early season weed control in upland rice. Another advantage of HR rice, especially glyphosate or glufosinate resistant rice, is that both are used post emergence and will promote total post emergence weed control. HR rice would enable application flexibility due to the high efficiency of these herbicides and good crop tolerance. Nutrient management. The extent of the nutrient competition differs with the time and method of fertilizer application, even if the same quality is applied at different times. Broadcasting method of fertilizer application has been found to enhance weed growth and its competitive ability. Fertilizers placed as narrow soil bands rather than surface broadcast has been found to reduce the competitive ability of weeds. Manual and mechanical methods. Manual methods of weed control is successful under conditions where laborers are easily available. 2 manual weeding before 40 days after rice seeding has been found to be satisfactory in reducing crop weed competition. Chemical weed management. The choice of herbicides for weed control in rice depends upon type of rice culture, rice establishment method, land preparation and culture practices. Appropriate herbicide program need to be developed for upland rice in terms of doses, time of application and integration with other non-chemical methods. Other herbicide to optimize weed control. Pre-emergence applications. Several pre-emergent herbicides, butachlor, thiopencox, pendimethalin, oxidazone, oxyfluorophone and nitrofen alone or supplemented with hand weeding have been reported to provide a fair degree of weed control in upland rice. Weed management in upland rice under shifting cultivation. Logging in forested upland areas is most often followed by shifting cultivation. Rice is not always grown as monocrop in the uplands. Farmers sometimes use maize, root crops and vegetables as intercrops with rice or plant them in rotation. Fallow management. Fallow management is an important option for reducing weed burdens by the changing factors such as the aeration of the systems, example flooded to aerobic, and or by preventing the production of seeds by weeds during the fallow period. Changing the system's aeration tended to force major shifts in weed species from one season to the next. Next, puddling and its effects on rice. One striking feature of the most of the world's wetland rice is that it's grown on soils whose structure is deliberately destroyed and the soil dispersed by plowing and the harrowing the soil in a flooded or saturated state. The operation is an important management practices in wetland rice culture and is called puddling. Also defined puddling as mixing the soil and water to render it impervious. The steps involved in puddling are saturating and flooding in the soil, plowing the supersaturated soil, plowing or harrowing at progressively lower water contents. The two phases of puddling are increased in the soil moisture content and the mechanical work done on it. When the soil moisture content increases, soil aggregates swell, soften and weaken. Cohesion between the aggregate increases, reaches a peak at field capacity and decreases when such a soil is plowed or harrowed. The aggregates are destroyed. Effects of puddling on soil properties. Coarse aggregates are broken down. Non-capillary pore space is destroyed. Apparent specific volume decreases. Water holding capacity increases. Hydraulic conductivity and permeability decreases. Evaporation decreases. Soil reduction is favored. Effects of puddling on rice. The benefits of puddling for rice listed by include reduced runoff requirements for tillage, weed control, easy transplanting, conservation of rain and irrigation water, increase in nutrient availability. The main disadvantages of puddling are excessive water use, low trafficability, and difficulty of regenerating soil structure for the dryland crop following wetland rice. Solar radiation and rice. Rice crop productivity is influenced by climatic conditions such as solar radiation, temperature, and water availability during its vegetative and reproductive stage. Rice, Oryza sativa, is an essential food grain for about half of the humanity, being a basic component in political, economic, and social stability, and to a certain degree in other survival. Rice is the second most cultivated cereal in the world after corn, reaching a world production of 740 billion in 2014. Billion tons in 2014. In several Asian, African, and Latin American countries, rice is a major monsoon crop, although dry season rice is not uncommon. Rice yield is 30 to 40% lower in the wet season than in the dry season. The world's top rice yielding regions are those that receive the most solar radiation. Light stress are found to decrease the total biomass yield and yield components. The reduction in the ultimate grain yield was found to be affected due to the increased number of the ill-filled spikelets. Low light tolerant varieties, example IT 10436, IAT 11058, Ponni and Bhavani are found to be withstand the light stress and recorded nominal yield by maintaining minimal reduction in all the desired parameters. Modern rice cultivator, although possessing higher yield potentials, have not produced WS yields are equal to those in dry season. Wet season yields equal to those in dry season. Light intensity during the reproductive phase may be crucial for the higher productivity and nitrogen responsiveness. The dry matter accumulation was affected under shading at all stages, which was critical from primordial initiations onwards. The dry matter accumulation was affected under the shading at all stages, which was critical from initiations onwards. The grains or pinnacle were also reduced by shading from the PI onwards. The yields were progressively reduced with low light intensity appearing in succession at different growth stages, particularly more critical during ripening phase. It is considered that low light intensity during monsoon season is an important constraint for higher productivity, since yields as low as 3.2 to 4.4 tons per hectare were recorded with varieties which yielded 8 to 10 tons per hectare under high light intensity conditions, as in Rabi. Pulses, production, demand and supply. Pulses. Several pulse crops are grown in India and the world. Among the crops, major ones are the gram, pigeon pea, lentil, field peas, etc. India is a larger producer of pulses in the world, approximately 25% of the total 80 million tons, and also enjoys distinction of the being largest consumer, nearly 28% as well. According to the Vision 2050 of ICAR, Indian Institute of Pulsar Research, IDPR, Kanpur, the present production of pulses hovers around 19 million tons, which falls short approximately 2 million tons of the current domestic demand of 21 million tons. In order to narrow down the demand, supply gap and the control process in domestic market, the country resorts to import pulses to the tune of 2 to 3 million tons per year, entailing significant expenditure in terms of valuable foreign exchange. Currently, daily per capita availability of pulses is 37 grams, which is considerably lower than the ICMR recommendations of 52 grams. If we dream of a healthy India in 2050, the requirement of pulses will be 39 million tons, which necessitates an annual growth rate of 2.14%. Serious efforts are required to drastically reduce the post-harvest losses as well. But the pathway to achieve the target has many inherent technical and social challenges and problems. Presently, more than 92% of the land area under pulses is confined to unirrigated areas, where the farming chiefly depends on the monsoon rains. Drought or drought-like conditions, coupled with the heat state, may reduce seed yields by 50%, especially in arid and semi-arid regions. Most of the pulses are grown in low fertility and problematic soils, struggling with salinity and alkalinity. Generally, pulses are grown by resource-poor farmers and treated as secondary crops with finest productivity to staple cereals and other cash crops. Therefore, pulses are generally deprived of essential inputs, due care and latest technologies. Availability of quality seed of improved varieties is one of the major constraints in increasing the productivity of pulses. Efforts for achieving self-sufficiency in pulse production, that is pulses for all. Government of India is operating a comprehensive National Food Security Mission (NFSM) to maintain sustainable food security in the country, which provides support to pulses, cereals, millets, and selected commercial crops. A major decision was taken to excessively dedicate 50% allocation for development of pulses alone. Cultivation of pulses is being promoted as an intercrop with cereals, oilseeds, and cash crops, with the introduction of suitable varieties and packages of practices. Scientists have demonstrated successful cultivation of pigeon pea on buds of rice fields. Similarly, pulse crop is being encouraged in rice fallow areas under Bringing Green Revolution in Eastern India scheme. Summer mung, green ground cultivation is also being promoted through necessary technical support. Rice fallows in the Indian Gangetic Plains offer a huge potential for expansion of the area of Rabi pulses such as chickpea and lentil. Short duration varieties of chickpea and lentil successfully grown after rice harvest is in some states have given reasonably high yields. Present government strengthened frontline demonstration program in pulses for adopting improved varieties. Judicial use of manures and fertilizers and scientific management of pests and diseases. Necessary and critical inputs are also provided. Major constraints in pulses production in India. In India, pulses are mainly grown in rain-fed area with unstable and uncertain rainfall. This increases the risk of crop failure. Poor marketing and structure and linkage also is one of the main constraints to increase their production. The decreasing size of land holding is also accelerating these challenges. The insufficient structuring and poor management of storage facilities a big challenge to increase the pulses production. The procurement prices for pulses are very low. This becomes a disincentive for the farmers to grow pulses. A lack of credit insurance and credit facilities to the farmers also bring insecurity in them to produce pulses. Lack of adequate research in the agriculture field is a big challenge for agriculture. The lack of irrigation facilities in the different areas and extra dependency on monsoon bring the unsure mentality in farmer related to profit. The inadequate structuring of minimum support price MSP also a big flaw in agriculture system. Measures need to be taken. The government should adopt some qualitative measures and some other research works in the agriculture field that could increase the pulse production in India. The government should provide them with the credit facilities that can help them to purchase advanced tools for growing their production. The government should adopt the adequate structuring of minimum support price that makes pulses production attractive and beneficial. The farmer should adopt multiple cropping systems and produce pest-resistant crops in the field. The conservation of the water and water harvesting techniques is the best incentive to accelerate the pulses production in India. The government should make some appropriate laws and stop doing a fragmentation of the land. The area expansion for agriculture production is also a good incentive for the farmers. The introduction of the e-NAM by the government is a good incentive to increase the production of pulses, which is an online portal for the farmers to know about the highest price of their production. The recent announcement by Niti Aayog to create a buffer stock for pulses is a welcome step. Apart from creating a buffer, if pulses are included in the public distribution system, it would improve the food and nutrition security of India. Therefore, a need-based buffer stock with accountability for proper management is needed to ensure no wastage. To stabilize prices in the long run, we need to increase domestic production by eliminating the risk farmers experience while growing pulses. These are some steps which we create a difference in the pulses production and increase their production in the future. The increasing level of the production can stop the import of the pulses from the foreign countries, which is responsible for fiscal deficit and loss forex. But with all these things, we should develop responsible nature in US educate our farmers about organic and eco-friendly agriculture production. We should aware them about the control of the stable burning and control the use of limited pesticides and fertilizers in their production and persuade them to adopt green agriculture. International Year of Pulses. The 68th UN General Assembly declared 2016 the International Year on Pulses. The Food and the Agriculture Organization of United Nations (FAO) has been nominated to facilitate the implementation of the year in collaboration with governments, relevant organizations, non-government organizations, and all other relevant stakeholders. The IP 2016 aims to heighten the public awareness of the nutritional benefits of the pulses as part of sustainable food production aimed towards food security and nutrition. The year will create a unique opportunity to encourage connections throughout the food chain that would better utilize pulse-based proteins, further global production of pulses, better utilize crop rotation, and address the challenges in the trade of pulses. The specific objectives of IOP 2016 are to raise awareness among the important roles of the pulses in sustainable food production and healthy diets and their contribution to food security and nutrition. Promote the value and utilization of the pulses throughout the food production food system, their benefits for soil fertility and climate change and for combating malnutrition. Encourage connection throughout the food chain to further global production of pulses, foster enhanced research, better utilize crop rotations, and address the challenges in the trade of pulses. Key messages of the year. Pulses are highly nutritious. Pulses are economically accessible and contribute to food security at all levels. Pulses have important health benefits. Pulses foster sustainable agriculture and contribute to food climate change mitigation and adoption. Pulses promote biodiversity. Next, pigeon pea wheat rotation. Pigeon pea is a major crop of Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and Gujarat. In the irrigated areas of northern and central India, pigeon pea wheat has emerged as a promising system. Availability of the short duration varieties such as UPAS 120, Manak ICPL 151, Pusa 992, which takes about 120 to 160 days to mature, has enabled their introduction in rice feed systems in irrigated area of western UP, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi and northeastern Rajasthan. This has provided desired stability and sustainability to productivity of cereal-based cropping system. But there are some issues which need to be tackled for wider adaptability and profitability from the system. Presently, most of the short duration varieties of PGNP available for cultivation are affected by sterility, mosaic, fusarium wilt and phytophthora blight and have tendency to prolong maturity with a late monsoon. Therefore, development of varieties which could mature by early November with 2-ton yield per hectare is required. In Bihar, Eastern UP, West Bengal, Orissa and Assam, PGNP is being grown as a pre-rabi after kharif maize, early rice, minor millets or jute, but due to its sensitivity to temperature, it has promise only in the areas having mild winter. Next, present status of oilseed crops and vegetable oils in India. Oilseed crops are the second most important determinant of agriculture economy, next only to cereals within the segment of field crops. The self-sufficiency in oilseed attained through Yellow Revolution during early 1990s could not be sustained beyond a short period. Despite being the fifth largest oilseed crop production country in the world, India is also one of the largest importers of vegetable oils today. There is a spurt in the vegetable oil consumption in areas in the recent years in respect of both edible as well as industrial usage. The demand-supply gap in the edible oils have necessitated huge imports accounting for 60% of the country's requirements. Despite commendable performance of domestic oilseeds production of the 9 annual crops, it could not match with the galloping rate of per capita demand due to enhanced per capita consumption driven by the increase in population and enhanced per capita income. Oilseeds. 9 oilseeds are primary source of vegetable oils in the country, which are largely grown under rainfed conditions over an area of about 26 million hectares. Among these, soybean 34%, groundnut 27%, rapeseed and mustard 27% contributes to more than 88% of the total oilseed production and greater than 80% of the vegetable oil, with a major share of mustard 35%, soybean 23% and groundnut 25%. Andhra Pradesh groundnut, Gujarat groundnut, Haryana mustard, Karnataka groundnut, Madhya Pradesh soybean, Maharashtra soybean, Rajasthan mustard oil and soybean, Tamil Nadu groundnut, Uttar Pradesh mustard, West Bengal mustard, contributing more than 95% of the total oilseed production in the country. India is producing about 7 to 8 million tons of vegetable oils from primary sectors. The strategies for enhancing the oilseed productivity. The strategies for enhancing the productivity of the oilseed-based production system are prepared for the annual oilseeds and for oil palm in the country. The interventions or strategies proposed in oilseeds are time-tested with scale neutrality that can be grounded for enhancing the productivity of the oilseed-based production systems with the necessary institutional support or hand-holding. The proposed strategies are categorized under 3 situations as follows. Increasing seed production and distribution of the newly released varieties. Low-cost technologies with high impact on productivity resulting in a higher income. Technologies with high impact that involves reasonable investment with high return on investment ROI with emphasis on eco-friendliness, high input use efficiency, and strategies with emphasis on quality improvement and value addition, leveraging technologies with a bearing on the employment through skill or entrepreneurship development. National Mission on Oilseed and Oil Palm. India is one of the major oilseed grower and importer of edible oils. India's vegetable oil economy is the world's 4th largest after USA, China and Brazil. But a substantial portion of our requirement of edible oil is met through import of palm oil from Indonesia and Malaysia. Hence, Government of India implemented the National Mission on Oilseeds and Oil Palm (NMOOP) during the 12th 5-year plan to expand the oil palm areas and increase the production of edible oils. Key features of the mission: mini missions and their targets. The NMOOP was launched under mini missions MM1, 2 and 3 to achieve the following specific targets. Under the MM1, the mission aims to increase the production of oilseeds to 35.51 million tons from the current average production of 28.93 million tons of the oilseeds. Under the MM2, the mission's target is to broaden the area for oil palm cultivation and boost the production of fresh fruit branches (FFBs) from 4,921 kg per hectare to 15,000 kg per hectare. MM3 envisages to strengthen the soil seed collection of the tree-borne soil seeds (TBOs) such as olive, sal, mahua, kokum, wild apricot, tung, etc. from 9 lakh tons to 14 lakh tons and provide best planting materials for expanded areas. Purpose of the mini missions. Mini mission 1, oilseeds. The mission, citing the importance of oil palms, was launched in 12 potential states in India with the listed purpose to bring 75,000 hectares area under the palm cultivation and increase the production of edible oils. To promote the oil palms in all northeastern states, to address the demand for new oil palm plantations both from native and imported sources. To render assistance to farmers by providing planting materials, maintenance cost for palms, irrigation and bore wells and harvesting tools. To buy fresh fruit branches from farmers through processing industries. To provide profitable rates for FX when international crude palm oil price drops. They support farmers through market intervention schemes. Mini mission 2, oil palm. To increase the seed replacement ratio, it says, with the focus on the varietal replacement. To raise the area of irrigation of oilseeds from 26% to 36%. To encourage the intercropping of oilseeds with cereals, pulses and sugarcane. To increase the availability of the quality and efficient planting materials of oil palm and tree-borne oilseeds (TBOs). Mini mission 3, tree-borne oilseeds. NMOOP implements the mini mission 3 either through the Department of Agriculture of the state government or Department of the Horticulture, and it focuses on expanding the plantation area, providing proper maintenance of the seedlings, encouraging the intercropping during the gestation periods, providing technical support and training with the assistance of the government institutions. Next, fiber crops. Retting in jute. Retting is the process of extracting fibers from the long-lasting life stem or best of the best fibers plants. The available retting processes are mechanical retting, hammering, chemical retting, boiling and applying chemicals, steam or vapor or dew retting, and water or microbial retting. Among them, the water or microbial retting is a century-old but the most popular process in extracting the fine bast fibers. However, selection of these retting processes depends on the availability of the water and the cost of the retting process. To extract the fine fibers on the jute plant, a small stack is harvested for pre-retting. Usually, this small stack is brought before 2 weeks of harvesting time. If the fiber can be easily be removed from the jute hud or core, then the crop is ready for harvesting. After harvesting, the jute stalks are tied into bundles and submerged in soft running water. The stalks stay submerged in water for 20 days. However, the retting process may require the less time if the quality of the jute is better. In most cases, the fiber extraction process of bast fibers in water retting is done by the farmers while standing under water. When the jute stalk is well retted, the stalk is grabbed in bundles and hit with a long wooden hammer to make the fibers loose from the jute hud or core. After losing the fiber is washed with water and squeezed for dehydration. The extracted fiber is further washed with fresh water and allowed to dry on bamboo poles. Finally, they are tied into small bundles to be sold into the primary market. Improved management practices for increasing cotton. Cotton is one of the most important fiber and cash crops of India and plays a dominant role in the industrial and agricultural economy of the country. India has emerged as the second largest producer of the cotton in the world, occupies the first position in terms of the total area under crop production at over 9.44 million hectares. However, the productivity level is still below the world average. Efforts are in place to increase the current productivity to bring it closer to the world average. Improved management practices, IMPs, or agriculture practices which optimize the three pillars of sustainability: social responsibility, environmental integrity, and economic variability by binding together the financial requirements for agriculture, such as high yield, with the environmental and social concerns such as water and pesticide use. These practices allow diverse actors such as farmers, companies, government agencies, NGOs to optimize resources use efficiency, create marketable products, reduce waste, assure market access, and reduce the risk of adverse relations with local stockholders. Improved management practices, technically speaking, are more environmental friendly and promote the use of local resources and improve the input use efficiency. The practices, apart from the improved agronomical practices, can be broadly categorized into 5 broad areas, namely cropping pattern and sowing management, soil fertility management, water management, pest and disease management, proper harvesting and storage, crop residue management. Cropping pattern and sowing management. Intercropping: cotton plus green gram or black gram, 1:1 row proportion. Cotton plus sorghum plus PGNP plus sorghum, 6:1 1:1 row proportion. Method of sowing: drilling method for straight varieties, dibbling method for hybrids. Soil fertility management: split application of nutrients. The recommended dose of nitrogen fertilizer has split into 3 applications. 1/3 of quantity each at 30, 60 and 90 days after sowing. Soil test based nutrient application: soil should be tested for its chemical properties by using the portable soil analysis kit. Water management: the water related IMPs include adoption of water conservation techniques like drip irrigation and the innovation techniques like paired rowing planting of cotton, coupled with 120 centimeter interspaces between 2 paired rows. Other methods include skip row irrigation and furrow application techniques by farmers who otherwise adopt flood irrigation irrespective of row length. Alternate irrigation: under this method, the area in between the rows is irrigated using a combination of the flood and furrow irrigation. In case of cotton, irrigation can be provided to alternate rows by skipping a row to save water usage. This has the potential to save around 35% of the irrigation water in comparison to the conventional furrow method in sandy loam soil. Pest and disease management: bio-intensive integrated pest management practices should be receive priority over chemical pesticide application. Plowing practices: bollworms during pupal stage hide in debris, stubbles and upper layers of the soil. Summer deep plowing practices are adopted to expose them to sunlight. It helps to expose the pupae of the bollworms, which are exposed to sunlight and predation by the birds. Enrichment of compost to fight soil-borne plant diseases. When compost is enriched by mixing and growing natural antagonist fungi, trichoderma, and applied as a top dressing at the base of the plants, the practice helps in effective deployment of biochemical fungus to control wilts and other soil-borne diseases, apart from promoting plant growth. Trap, border and intercrops. Trap and border crops like marigold, castor, maize, sorghum and PGNP are grown in cotton fields to serve as trap crops for insects and to increase the infield and border diversity to serve as barrier or guard crops for reducing pest dispersal, and in some cases to serve as food resources for enhanced multiplication of beneficial insects. Green gram and as an intercrop not only brings in additional income but also helps in in situ conservation of soil moisture and promotes the development of the natural enemies of the pests, thereby reducing the pest incidence on cotton. Pheromone traps. Female insects release a kind of scent to attract the male insects for mating. Male insects get attracted to the smell and wander to the source of the smell. This chemical attraction is species specific. Color traps. Some sucking insects pests get attracted to specific colors. Colored boards, sheets, or round things should be arranged on the foot above the crop by applying castor oil on the each surface and tied to the stake. Yellow color baits traps works for trapping white flies, while white color board works for jesuits. Light traps. Many insects get attracted to the light. Moths, butterflies, adult sucking pests get attracted to the light or flame. The light trap idea is based on this behavior. An electric bulb of 100 to 150 watts along with a water through below that at 1 feet distance should be arranged near the electricity source. Insects that get attracted to the light operated during night light fall in the water and get killed when few drops of kerosene or soap powder is added to water. Bird peaches. In nature, many birds feed on insects larvae. Erecting T-shaped wooden poles in the field, 10 per acre, can serve as a perch for birds. These birds landing in the field promote the natural pest control. Results are also observed by pouring water in broken mud pots. Some farmers spread rice mixed with turmeric in the fields to attract birds. Streaks, minnows, and bow weavers birds land on bird pitches. Ideally, 4 to 5 bird pitches should be arranged 1 feet above the crop. Botanical extractions like neem seed, kernel extract, vitex decoction, tobacco decoction, neem oil are used for pest control. Proper harvesting and storage. Using of cotton picking or prawns, the apron has got the following characteristics. It is made up of cotton cloth with a polyester sac at the back with the storage capacity of 7 to 9 kgs and with the foam belts on the shoulders. It is easy for any ordinary woman with minimum knowledge of sewing to tailor the sac and therefore has a higher chance of uptake. The sac with a half-inch foam belts resting on the two shoulders reduces the stress of carrying the weight of the picked cotton, making it easier for women to pick cotton. Crop residue management. The cotton stalk after harvest are largely wasted or insufficiently used. The stalk can either be used as briquette or as organic manure after composting. Sugar crops. Sugarcane is planted by 3 methods in different parts of India. Method of planting. A. Flat planting. In this method, shallow 8 to 10 centimeters deep furrows are opened with local plough or cultivator at a distance of 75 to 90 centimeters. There should be adequate moisture in the field at the time of planting. The sets are planted in them end to end. Furrows are covered with 5 to 7 centimeters soil. In most parts of the northern India and some tracts of Maharashtra, cane is planted by this method. Next, B. Furrow planting. In this method, furrows are made with a sugarcane ridger about 10 to 15 centimeter deep in northern India and about 20 centimeters in South India. Sets are planted end to end. The furrows are covered with 5 to 6 centimeter soil, leaving upper portion of furrows unfilled. Immediately after covering the sets, water is let into furrows. This method is practiced in parts of eastern UP and peninsular India, particularly in heavy soils. C. Trench method. In the coastal areas as well as in the other areas where the crops grows very tall and the strong winds during the rainy season cause lodging of cane, trench method is adopted to save the crop from lodging. Trenches at a distance of 75 to 90 centimeters are dug with the help of the ridger or by the manual labor. Trenches should be about 20 to 25 centimeters deep. Fertilizers are spread uniformly in the trenches and mixed thoroughly in the soil. The sets are planted end to end in trenches. The tractor-drawn sugarcane planter is a very suitable device for planting cane in trenches. D. Modified trench system. Ridges and furrows are opened at 120 centimeters. Using a tractor-drawn ridger, the furrow bottom is widened. As the crop grows well, each manuring only slight earthing up is done so that a trough is maintained through the crop growth. Here irrigation is given in the cane row itself. The system has been found highly useful under saline water irrigation and saline soil conditions. The salts are leached down from the root zone. Higher cane yield compared to the conventional ridges and furrows. FOM or press mud application and trash mulching in this system can further improve cane yield. Special methods of establishment. Single bud direct planting. In this system, single bud sets are planted directly in the fields in the furrows at 30 to 45 cm spacing. This method is highly economical and sowing of seed material. The buds should be healthy. Transplanting technique. Seedlings are raised in a nursery bed using single bud sets. About 6 feet old seedlings are transplanted. Advantages by adopting this system are saving in the seed cost only about 2 to 3 tons per hectare against a normal 8 to 10 tons per hectare. Synchronous tillering leading to uniformly maturity. Sufficient time availability to prepare the main field. Saving of 2 to 3 irrigation. Possibility of increased cane yield. Better weed management. Efficient fertilizer management. Next, FODDER method. A technique developed by Mr. S.V. Parthasarathi, an eminent sugarcane scientist, suggested for waterlogged or excess soil moisture conditions, coastal Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu during a northeast monsoon period. In this method, 3-eyed budded sets are planted in a slanting position 60 degrees to the vertical in the wet furrow or halfway on the ridges. Usually, 1 eye bud is thrust into the soil and the remaining 2 will be the above, which will sprout. Once the monsoon recedes, the inside seeds are pressed down into the soil and made to lie horizontally. Soil is put to the base. At this stage, the crop is matured. Measures to obtain higher germination. Using disease-free healthy sets, careful preparation of sets without damaging the buds or sets, planting freshly prepared and treated, trash mulching under moisture stress and hot weather and late planted conditions, seed treatment using a fungicide. Next, rattan cropping in sugar cropping. Rattoning refers to raising a crop with a regrowth coming out of the roots or stalks after harvest of crops. Rattoning is a method of harvesting a crop which leaves the roots and the lower parts of the plant uncut to give the rattan or the stubble crop. The main benefit of rattoning is that the crop matures earlier in the season. Rattoning can also decrease the cost of preparing the field and planting. This method cannot be used endlessly as the yield of the rattan crop decreases after each cycle. Rattoning is most often used with the crops which are known to give a steady yield for 3 years under most conditions, example sugarcane. Rattan management. The crop raised from the planting cane set is called plant crop. After the harvest of plant crop, stubble sprouts and gives rise to succeeding crop called as rattan crop. The practice of taking up rattan crop is called rattoning. Rattoning ability is generic based upon ability. Rattan varieties are classified as good or poor rattoner. CO1148 or CO419, CO740 are examples of for good rattoners. Rattoning has following advantage: reduction in the cost of field preparation, plant material, operation cost, saving in the field duration. Rattoon matures earlier than plant crop. Rattoon may give equal yield that of plant crop. Rattooning is common practice. Number rattoon varies. In Cuba 10 to 11 crops, South Africa, USA 4 to 6 crops, Hawaii, Brazil and Australia 2 to 3 crops. In India, rattoon yield is generally poor since extraordinarily little attention to manure rattoon. 30 to 40% area is under rattoon in India. The average productivity is low. Rattoon management: select variety suitable during plant crop. Plant crops should be harvested at right maturity. Delayed harvest to be avoided. Harvesting close to the ground with sharp cutting. Stubble saving to 4 to 6 cm is recommended if no uniform cut at harvest. Remove the trash but do not burn it. Irrigate the field properly. Shoulder breaking or off-bearing to remove decayed stubbles. Gap filling with sprouted sets or seedlings. Rattoon is less efficient in nitrogen utilization, hence 25% additional nitrogen from 5 to 7 days after rattooning is desirable. P and K should be judiciously. Spraying of FeSO4 at the rate of 2.5 kg per hectare in 150 liters on 15th day if chlorotic symptoms is noticed. If persists, repeat twice at 15 days interval. In the last spray, add 12.5 kg urea. After cultivation, practices should be done more effectively. Rattoon requires more plant production. Grasses should decrease disease, rattoon stunting. Tobacco curing methods. Curing is a carefully controlled process used to achieve the texture, color and overall quality of a specific tobacco type. During the cure, leaf starch is converted into sugar, the green color vanishes and the tobacco goes through color changes from lemon to yellow to orange to brown like tree leaves in autumn. There are 4 main curing methods. Flue cured tobacco. The most common curing process is called flue curing. Used mainly in the manufacture of cigarettes, the most common type of the flue-cured tobacco is Virginia. This tobacco is also known as the bright tobacco because the heat drying process gives the leaves a bright golden color. Originally from the southeastern US state of the same name, it is today the most grown tobacco variety in the world. Flue-cured tobacco is dried in a closed building with furnace driven heater directed from the flues or pipes that extend from a furnace into the barn. The temperature of the furnace is gradually raised until the leaves and the stems are completely dried. Fluid curing takes about a week and fixes the natural sugar of the leaf, which has a high sugar and the medium to high nicotine content. Today, many farmers find the bulk curing flue-cured tobacco is far most cost effective. Racks of tobacco are placed in bulk barns where heat and ventilation are controlled while air is forced through the leaves. Flue-cured varieties require warm weather, humidity, light rainfall and a sandy loam soil for their 4-month growing seasons. Next, air-cured tobacco. Some tobacco leaves are air-cured following their harvest. Air-cured tobacco is traditionally cured hanging in structures with a roof but with open sides to allow air to freely circulate. As with the flue curing, the aim of the air curing is timely removal of moisture from the tobacco. This process takes 4 to 8 weeks. If cured too fast, the leaf will become patchy. If cured too slow, the leaf will rot away. Commonly, air-cured tobacco is subdivided into dark air-cured and light air-cured tobacco. Burley is the second most popular tobacco in the world, belonging to the light air-cured variety. Burley, also known as white burley tobacco, is primarily used to make cigarettes and aromatics blends, whereas dark air-cured tobaccos are mainly used in the production of the chewing tobacco and snuff. Barley is a slightly smaller plant than the flue-cured Virginia type, but with the similarity broad leaves. Once picked, Its leaves are dried naturally or air cured without the use of the extra heat. This gives the leaves a light brown to homogeny appearance and very low sugar content. Barley tobacco are somewhat cigar-like in taste and appearance, lending themselves to the production of flavored blended cigarettes commonly referred to as American. Barley tobacco can be grown in limestone soils and required only light fertilizers. Fire-cured tobacco. All the curing methods may vary. All fire-cured tobaccos are subjected to the wood smoke to dry the leaves. It is the type of wood used to smoke the tobacco leaves and the amount of the smoke exposure that gives fire-cured tobacco leaves their distinctive flavors. Fire-cured tobacco, generally darker in color, is used mostly for pipe tobacco mixture, snuff, and chewing tobacco, and has a low sugar but high nicotine content. Fire curing uses an enclosed barn similar to that used for flue curing. Small fires are built on the floor and the leaves cure in a smoke-laden atmosphere. Whereas flue curing takes about a week, fire curing, usually far lower temperature, may take from a few days up to 4 weeks. Fire-cured tobacco is dried with low-burning wood fires on the floor of closed curing burns. The leaves have low sugar content but high nicotine content. Fire-cured tobacco is a reverse variety of the tobacco used as a condimental for pipe blends, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, snuff, strong-tasting cigars. Sun-cured tobacco. A comparatively small amount of tobacco is sun-cured. Leaves are exposed to the sun to remove the most of their moisture before being air-cured to complete the process. Of all the sun-cured tobacco, the best known as so-called Oriental tobaccos of Turkey, Greece, Yugoslavia, and Balkans. A more labor-intensive product to harvest, Oriental tobacco is characterized by a high aroma from the small leaves, being low in both sugar and nicotine. The leaves are mostly sun-cured. Usually, the larger the leaf, the milder the aroma. Hence, the Oriental tobacco is regarded as expensive to harvest by many tobacco manufacturers. Oriental tobaccos are often grown in poorer soils in southern Europe and the Middle East. Next, forage crops. Farmers who own livestock have two different categories of livestock feed from which to choose: fodder and forage. The choice depends on several factors including land availability, cost, and animals to be fed. First, farmers should learn the difference between the fodder and the forage crops. Forage and fodder crops serve the same purpose but thrive in different environments and require different levels of care to keep them prosperous. For those with the larger growing areas, forage crops can prove ideal. For those with the smaller farms and who want to closely monitor food intake, fodder crops work better. Thank you.